I never thought my life would unravel in a hail of bullets on a rainy autumn evening in Brookfield, Massachusetts. It was 1884, and the world I knew, the one of polished ballrooms and whispered scandals, shattered like glass under the thunder of gunfire. I was Amelia Lockwood, the darling of high society, dressed in my emerald silk gown that whispered against the carriage floor as we rattled down the cobblestone streets. The gas lamps flickered like hesitant stars, casting long shadows that danced with the mist. My companion that night was Aunt Harriet, prattling on about the latest eligible bachelor at the upcoming soiree, her voice a monotonous drone against the patter of rain on the roof. Then chaos erupted. A shout pierced the night, "Stand and deliver!" followed by the crack of a pistol. The carriage lurched to a halt, horses whinnying in terror. I pressed my hand to the window, peering out into the gloom, my heart slamming against my ribs like a caged bird. 3 masked men on horseback circled us, their coats slick with rain, revolvers gleaming under the lamplight. The driver, poor old Mr. Jenkins, raised his hands, his voice trembling. "Please, sirs, we've got nothing of value." A shot rang out, sharp and final. Mr. Jenkins slumped forward, blood blooming on his shirt like a dark rose. Aunt Harriet screamed, a high-pitched wail that cut through me like a knife. One of the bandits yanked open the door, his eyes wild behind the bandana. "Out, both of you! Hand over the jewels!" Panic surged through me, hot and electric. I grabbed Aunt Harriet's arm, but she was frozen, her face pale as death. The bandit lunged for her brooch, and in that moment, something primal awoke in me. A fierce will to survive that I'd never known existed beneath my layers of lace and propriety. I shoved him hard, my gloved hand slipping on his wet coat. He stumbled back, cursing, and fired wildly. The bullet whizzed past my ear, splintering the carriage wood. "Run!" I hissed to Aunt Harriet, but she collapsed in a faint. No time to hesitate. I leaped from the carriage, my skirts tangling around my legs, the mud sucking at my satin slippers. Another shot cracked, grazing my sleeve, the burn like fire on my skin. I darted into an alley, shadows swallowing me whole. My breath came in ragged gasps, tears mixing with rain on my cheeks. Behind me, shouts and more gunfire echoed, but I didn't look back. I ran until my lungs burned, until the streets blurred into a maze of darkness, hiding behind a stack of crates in a forgotten warehouse district. I huddled there for what felt like hours, shivering, my mind replaying the horror. Mr. Jenkins' lifeless eyes. Aunt Harriet? God, had they hurt her? The bandits' laughter as they rifled through our belongings. And me, Amelia Lockwood, reduced to a trembling mess in the filth. Society's belle, they called me, with my raven curls and porcelain skin, admired from afar but never truly seen. In that moment, as the adrenaline faded and despair crept in, I realized how hollow it all was. The dances, the suitors with their empty smiles and calculated compliments. They were masks, just like those bandits. I craved something real, something that didn't shatter at the first sign of danger. By dawn, the authorities found me. Aunt Harriet had survived, thank heavens, though shaken to her core. The bandits escaped with our valuables, leaving a trail of fear in Brookfield. The newspapers dubbed it the Midnight Heist, sensationalizing every detail. I became the tragic heroine in their stories, but inside I was broken. Nightmares plagued me, guns blazing, blood on the streets. I withdrew from society, pleading headaches to avoid the balls and tease. My parents fretted, whispering about finding me a husband to settle me, as if a ring could mend the fractures in my soul. It was in those quiet, tormented days that I found the ad. Buried on the back page of the Brookfield Herald, amid notices for wrought iron fences and sewing patterns, a simple plea caught my eye. Rancher, widower, seeks kind-hearted woman to aid in raising daughter. Must possess resilience, common sense, and a heart for new beginnings. Pine Ridge, Montana Territory, Montana! The word evoked images of vast prairies, rugged mountains, and a life untamed by etiquette. I stared at the ink, my fingers tracing the letters. Who was this man? What pain had driven him to such a desperate call? And why did it stir something deep within me? A longing for purpose beyond the gilded cage I'd known. The East was suffocating me with its expectations. Marry well, host teas, bear heirs. But after that night, I couldn't pretend anymore. I wanted authenticity, even if it meant facing the unknown. With trembling hands, I penned my first letter that very afternoon. "Dear Sir," I wrote, "I am Amelia Lockwood of Brookfield, Massachusetts. Your words resonate with me. For I too seek a life of substance over superficiality. I know little of ranch life, but I understand displacement and the ache for something more. If you find my heart true, I would welcome correspondence. I sealed it with wax, my pulse quickening. Sending it felt like leaping from that carriage all over again, terrifying, exhilarating. Beatrice, my cousin and closest confidant, was the only one I told. She burst into my room that evening, her blonde curls bouncing, eyes wide with concern. "Amelia, have you lost your mind? A mail-order bride? To the Wild West. After what happened with the robbery—" "It's not about being a bride," I interrupted, though a flush crept up my cheeks. "It's about starting over. Beatrice, you know how empty it all feels here. The men court me like I'm a prize horse, not a person. I need to feel alive again." She sighed, sinking onto my bed, her practical nature warring with her loyalty. "I get it, truly. Remember Cousin Elias? He went west and came back with tales of outlaws and blizzards. It's dangerous, Amelia. And society, they'd shun you." "Let them," I said fiercely, though doubt gnawed at me. Beatrice hugged me then, her warmth a balm. She was my rock, the one who sneaked me adventure novels and defended me against our family's prying. Without her, I'd have crumbled long ago. Weeks passed in a blur of anticipation. Each day I checked the post with bated breath, my mind wandering to this mysterious rancher. What did he look like? Tall and weathered, perhaps, with eyes that held the vastness of the plains. Did he dream of love again, or was this purely practical? My heart, bruised from the robbery's terror, yearned for connection, a gentle touch, a shared silence under stars unpolluted by city lights. Finally, the reply came. The envelope was plain, the handwriting bold and unadorned. "Miss Lockwood," it read, "I am Jack Harlan of Pine Ridge, Montana. Your honesty surprises me. Most Eastern ladies wouldn't glance at such an ad. I have a ranch, a daughter named Lily, and more solitude than a man should bear. Life here is hard, winters that bite, work that never ends. But if you're seeking truth over comfort, I'll write on. Tell me of your world, Jack Harlan." The name rolled through my thoughts like thunder over hills. His words were sparse, yet they painted a picture. A man scarred by loss, guarding his heart like a fortress. He mentioned his wife Emma briefly in later letters. Gone 4 years from fever, leaving him and Lily in a world of echoes. Lily, 8 years old, quiet as a shadow, who spent her days sketching dreams on scraps of paper. Jack's brother Sam, he wrote, was the one who'd placed the ad without his knowledge, a meddlesome sort with a laugh that could chase away storms. Our letters flowed like a river finding its course. I poured out my soul, the robbery's horror, how it stripped away my illusions, the suffocating weight of societal expectations.
"I feel like a bird in a cage," I confessed, "beautiful but trapped."
"Out there, in your Montana, perhaps I could learn to fly." Jack's responses grew warmer, though guarded. He described the land, the golden waves of grass, the jagged peaks of the Rockies, nights where the Milky Way spilled across the sky like diamonds on velvet. "Lily draws the horses best," he wrote once. "She misses her ma, but doesn't say it. Maybe a woman's touch could heal that." With each exchange, a spark ignited in me. Not just curiosity, but something deeper. A tentative affection for this stranger who saw beyond my facade. I imagined his voice, rough from wind and work, whispering secrets in the dark. Was this love budding through ink and paper? "Or folly," Beatrice teased me gently. "You're smitten with a ghost, Amelia. What if he's a grizzled old coot?" "He's not," I insisted, though uncertainty twisted my gut. Yet the pull was undeniable. Jack challenged my preconceptions, sharing tales of frontier justice, where men like him stood against rustlers with grit and gun. It thrilled and terrified me, echoing the robbery's chaos but promising redemption. As winter approached, I made my decision. Under candlelight, I traced train routes on maps borrowed from Father's study, each line a thread to freedom. Beatrice helped in secret, packing a valise with sturdy dresses and books. "Promise you'll write," she begged, tears in her eyes. "And if it's not what you dream, come home." "I will," I whispered, hugging her fiercely. But in my heart, I knew there was no turning back. The night of my sister's debutante ball arrived, a swirl of gowns and laughter in our family mansion. I played my part, smiling through the waltzes, my mind miles away. As midnight struck, I slipped out the servant's door, valise in hand, heart pounding like during the heist. The train station loomed in the fog, its whistle a siren's call. Boarding that midnight express, I settled into my seat, the wheels clacking a rhythm of destiny. Memories flooded me. The bandits' guns, Aunt Harriet's scream, the emptiness of my old life. But ahead lay Pine Ridge Jack and Lily. Would he be the man my heart envisioned? Or would the West's danger swallow me whole? As the train hurtled westward, I pressed my forehead to the cool glass, whispering a prayer.
Let this be real.
Let love find me in the wilderness. The journey blurred into days of rattling cars and changing landscapes. From the manicured fields of the east to the endless prairies, the world expanded, mirroring the hope blooming in my chest. I reread Jack's letters, his words a lifeline. The land tests you, he'd written, but it rewards the steadfast. Doubts crept in during sleepless nights. What if I couldn't adapt? A society belle churning butter, mending fences? And Jack, did he feel this pull, or was I just a solution to his loneliness? My fingers traced the scar on my arm from the bandit's bullet, a reminder of my resilience. I'd survived once. I could again. Stops along the way introduced me to fellow travelers. Grizzled miners heading to strikes, families seeking homesteads. One evening, in a dusty depot, I met Mrs. Clara Thompson, a widow returning west after visiting kin. Her face was lined with sun and sorrow, but her eyes sparkled with stories. "The frontier ain't for the faint," she said over coffee. "But it mends what's broken. Found my second chance there after losing my Tom to the war." Her words fueled my resolve, stirring emotions I'd buried, the ache for companionship, the dream of a love built on shared trials. "Do you think a man like my correspondent could open his heart again?" I asked tentatively. She chuckled. "If he's worth his salt, yes. Western men are tough as leather, but loyal as the day is long. Just watch for the outlaws. They're thicker than flies on honey." Her warning echoed the robbery, sending a shiver down my spine. But it also ignited a fierce determination. I wasn't running from danger. I was embracing a life where I could fight back. Finally, the train chugged into Pine Ridge, a speck of a town nestled against towering pines and rugged hills. Dust swirled in the wind, carrying scents of sage and wood smoke. My heart raced as I stepped onto the platform, skirts billowing, scanning the crowd. There he was, Jack Harlan, taller than I'd imagined, broad-shouldered in a faded denim shirt and Stetson hat pulled low. His face was chiseled by sun and wind, eyes the color of storm clouds, holding a wariness that softened when they met mine. Beside him sat a girl in the wagon, clutching a sketchbook. Lily, her hair in braids, gaze curious yet distant. "Miss Lockwood?" His voice was gravelly, laced with a western drawl that sent warmth through me. "Amelia," I corrected, stepping forward, my voice steadier than I felt. Up close he smelled of leather and earth, a far cry from the colognes of Eastern gentlemen. He nodded, tipping his hat. "Jack, this here's Lily." She peeked at me, then buried her nose in her book. No words, just a shy glance that tugged at my heartstrings. As he helped me into the wagon, his hand rough but gentle on mine, a spark jumped between us, electric and unspoken. The ride to the ranch passed in tense silence, broken only by the creak of wheels and distant coyote howls. I stole glances at Jack, noting the lines of grief around his eyes, the strength in his jaw. What stories hid behind that stoic facade? And Lily, her sketches, peeking out, showed a world of imagination trapped in silence. The ranch emerged like a sentinel against the vast sky. Weathered barn, sturdy cabin, fences stretching into infinity. No grandeur, just endurance. Jack showed me to a small room, sparse but clean. "No expectations," he said softly, echoing his letters. "Take your time." Alone I unpacked, my fingers brushing his last letter. "If you're here, it's because your heart led you," he'd written. Mine had, straight into this unknown. That first night, as stars blanketed the sky, I lay awake, emotions swirling, fear of rejection, excitement for possibility, a budding love that terrified and thrilled. Jack Harlan wasn't just a rancher. He was a mystery I longed to unravel, and in his world perhaps I'd find the healing my soul craved, but shadows lingered. Whispers of outlaws in town, Sam had mentioned in a postscript, and my past, the robbery's ghosts, followed me west. Little did I know, danger lurked closer than the horizon, ready to test our fragile bond. The next morning dawned crisp, the air alive with birdsong. I rose early, determined to prove my worth. In the kitchen, I fumbled with the stove, burning the biscuits to a crisp. Jack entered, his presence filling the room like sunlight. He didn't laugh or scold. He just salvaged what he could, his hands brushing mine as he showed me how. "City ways take time to shake," he said, a hint of a smile playing on his lips. His nearness sent my pulse racing, a mix of attraction and vulnerability. In that moment, I saw glimpses of the man beneath, tender with Lily, fierce in his independence. Love, I realized, wasn't grand gestures. It was these quiet teachings, building trust brick by brick. Lily watched from the table, her pencil scratching paper. Later she slipped me a drawing, a woman with flowing hair standing amid wildflowers. "Me?" My heart swelled. "Thank you," I whispered. She nodded, a tiny smile breaking through. As days blended, challenges mounted. A sudden storm flooded the creek, threatening the livestock. Jack and I worked side by side, mud-caked and exhausted,